क्योंकि यहाँ सर आगे कुछ ये नहीं देख रहा था मुझे।
Good morning, Your Holiness.
Good morning.
Eminent medical professionals and leaders of the industry. I am extremely humbled to be able to have this conversation with one of the greatest spiritual leaders of our times, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This session is certainly a highlight for me in my career of over 3 decades in the pharmaceutical industry. We are privileged to welcome the healthcare professionals, colleagues, and leaders who have been our frontline warriors to protect lives and take care of our health in these extraordinary times. We also have with us 4 leading lights of the medical profession: Dr. Nageshwar Reddy, Chairman and founder of Asian Institute of Gastroenterology; Dr. V. Mohan, Chairman of Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialties Center and a leading diabetologist; Amira Shah, an entrepreneur and Managing Director of Metropolis Healthcare; and Dr. Srinath Reddy, President of Public Health Foundation of India, and a very well-known personality in the medical profession. Of course, His Holiness Dalai Lama ji doesn't need any introduction. I'm grateful to him for this great privilege to present to the audience here. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama Tenzin Gyatso, who describes himself as a simple Buddhist monk, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. He has consistently advocated policies of non-violence, compassion, even in the face of extreme aggression. He also became the first Nobel laureate to be recognized for his concern for global environmental problems. His Holiness has traveled to many countries, over 67 countries across all continents. He has received many, many recognitions, over 150 awards, including honorary doctorates, in recognition of his message of peace, non-violence, interreligious understanding, universal responsibility, and compassion. He has also co-authored over 110 books. His life has been an inspiration to many of us. His practical wisdom, his perspective on meaning in our lives, compassion and joy will help us become much more effective in our work in helping patients, as well as leading a meaningful life. We're going to have an engaging conversation with him and listen to his thoughts on compassion today. As a pharmaceutical company, Dr. Reddy's, we are very proud to be associated with this conversation. As the pandemic hit us, we were motivated to do our best to find solutions. We have collaborated with global majors and focused our R&D and innovation efforts in finding solutions to treat all aspects of the disease. We have also focused our efforts on keeping the supplies of critical medicines going to patients worldwide and also protecting our own employees' health. While the pandemic taught us many lessons, we were most inspired by the compassion that we saw around us, as well as the bravery of the medical profession and the way they responded. Today's talk is part of our dialogues between healthcare practitioners in India and influential leaders from different arenas, organized by our foundation, the Dr. Reddy's Foundation for Health Education, titled Abhaya Talks. Healthcare workers and professionals have been working tirelessly during the pandemic, and they have proved critical to the health of our vast population. The situation called for enormous sacrifices from all nurses, doctors, all professionals from the healthcare sectors. We've been working round the clock in a high risk environment. And through these talks, we hope to build perspective and to empower these professionals to manage stress and cope effectively with the enormous pressures they face. To begin with, I'd like to again wish your Holiness a very happy 86th birthday. Your birthday was yesterday. We're one day late. Your life has been a living testimony of compassion, and you've been the most ardent champion of the emotion of compassion. In a world that seems to be indifferent, showing compassion to others in pain and suffering is quite a challenge for all of us. So before our senior medical professionals ask their questions, may I request Your Holiness to share your thoughts on compassion in healthcare for about 15-20 minutes, and then we can ask the questions. Over to you, Your Holiness.
Namaste. Trashtale. Good morning. I really appreciate you give me this opportunity. So now India, as I always mention, India is my home. I born in Tibet, but most part of my life spent in this country. So, and then since '59 I came here. I really found very pleasant, peaceful. And as far as religion is concerned, religious harmony, really wonderful in this country. And then, of course, free media, newspaper. So whatever I felt, I thought, I can express, and it can reach not only within India, but also outside the world. So on top of that, I really feel proud that I'm guest of Indian government. I think now I'm longest guest of Indian government. But at least, you see, that guest never create a problem. So I really happy remain here. Then I want to thank, firstly, yesterday, my birthday. So many my friends express happy birthday. So here I want to take this opportunity to express those people, including some leaders. Like Kharsa, Ashala Kharsa, America.
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, Nancy Pelosi.
Speaker.
Oh, Senator.
Speaker.
Speaker. Since I know her, she's such a sort of just sort of lip service. She herself visit Tibet and talk some of the local Chinese leaders, and then come here. So I want to thank such my long-time supporters and friend. And then many other people, including Indian Prime Minister and many ministers and also chief ministers and number of sort of my Indian friend, they sincerely express congratulations my birthday. So I very much appreciate. You see, these was a friendly expression. I do not consider just a diplomatic something, but all, you see, sincerely, wholeheartedly, you see, express. So I want to thank all those people who really think about my life, something useful. So I very much appreciate. And the more people, you see, sincerely express, you see, that way, then that gives me determination, inner strength. I must live long, as much as sort of life possible. So according to some my also the dreams and some sort of predictions, my life 110, and some say 113. So you see, more people, you see, genuinely sort of express friendly and respect and expectation. So I determined I must live at least 110 years. So I determined, and as I mentioned already, as a guest of Indian government, you see, I remain here, very peaceful. Daily practice, I carry at least a few hours, some meditation. All these actually Indian tradition, mainly Nalanda tradition. So one DSP, my close friend, he described me as a Nalanda chancellor. He described me that I feel really great honor. The reality, simple Buddhist monk, and refugee. But since all my knowledge, my practice according to Nalanda tradition, since 8th century, the Tibetan king invited one great master at that time of Nalanda, Chandrarakshita. He invited. So he introduced Buddha Dharma according to Nalanda tradition. So I consider a student or a little more exaggeration, a scholar of Nalanda tradition. So I think the friend DSP described me as a chancellor of Nalanda institution. So all these knowledge come from India. And philosophical, very sort of complicated, very all based on sort of reasoning, so logical approach. not only just faith, but reason. So therefore, now last few decades, I have the opportunity to meet with modern scientists, some of them non-believer. We can discuss very easily, since we not just faith, reasoning always. So as a result of a discussion with modern scientists in different fields, many of them very much appreciate about peace of mind. So modern scientists is mainly concerned about brain, about physical health. They have no particular sort of method or how to keep peace of mind. So therefore, number of scientists, they really appreciate our sort of knowledge, how to tackle when our mind disturbed, and how to keep peaceful mind. Not medicine, just thinking. So a number of scientists become my very close friend. And then meantime, I also learn from scientists, very useful. We traditionally a little bit too much faith. Our Guru says, Buddha says. Now, according to Nalanda tradition, logical approach, then you see we always use reason. Even you see certain Buddhist teaching, when we investigate some contradiction, then we have the right to reject even Buddha's own word. Buddha himself is made very clear, "O my follower, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, but rather thorough investigation." So my mind thinking, you see, very much sort of logical approach. So through that way, try to develop the strength of compassion, strength of karuna. You see, that truly antidote of anger, fear, jealousy. So 1,000-year-old India's tradition, karuna, wonderful. Karuna not just out of faith, but through reasoning. Then the more deeper experience about karuna, then ahimsa automatically come. So India's 1,000-year-old, also the ahimsa and the karuna, these two things truly my main practice. And then also look our world. We really need ahimsa and karuna. There are a lot of problems. Of course, the ecology problem, that is something different. Otherwise, many problems is our own creation. You see, due to lack of karuna, ahimsa. So therefore, I'm, as a guest of Indian government, up to now, last few decades, I totally dedicated to promote ahimsa and karuna. And remaining my life, I think at least 10, 20 years, I totally dedicated promotion of these two, ahimsa and karuna. With reason, not just a faith. That also in sort of Indian tradition, secular, not just a faith, through reasoning. So, and with that, automatically respect to all religious tradition automatically come. All major religious tradition. You see, main message is karuna. So therefore, you can develop genuine respect all major world religious tradition. In the philosophical field, different. Some believe God. Like Jainism and Buddhism, no creator. Ourself is actually a creator. But in spite different philosophical view, all message is same, karuna, ahimsa. So that is the basis to grow religious harmony. Look, this country, all major world religious tradition exist here, but all mutual respect, harmony, wonderful. So now my latest commitment is my experience and some knowledge which come from India. Now I'm really want to revive these Indian thought, secular way, and India modern education, which introduced Britisher from West, that also very useful, materialistic sort of education, very useful. With that, must combine with ancient Indian knowledge, ahimsa, karuna, and through meditation, shamatha, vipassana. I feel the previous century, Mahatma Gandhiji, promoted through his own practice, ahimsa. And then in South Africa and America and many places, number of thinkers, including some politicians, seriously sort of follow Mahatma Gandhiji's non-violent struggle. Like Bishop Tutu, and then also America,
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King. I was told the late Martin Luther King's wife once told me that Martin Luther King very much attracted towards Gandhiji. So he even want to dress like Indian. She told me like that. So I think previous century, truly Gandhiji show world non-violence. Wonderful. So now today, a lot of problem, killing, bully. So such sort of occasion, the India's 1,000-year-old concept of ahimsa and karuna. So I totally dedicated to combine modern knowledge and ancient Indian knowledge combined. So now I'm thinking, after this illness also cease, I'm very, very eager visit Delhi and see Prime Minister and other sort of concerned ministers, officials, And then also I'm very, very keen to meet some education professors in Delhi, how to combine modern education and ancient Indian knowledge combined. So I'm dedicated, very much sort of thinking like that.
kunju tsangma member che menju nalo lega che nge resha che sa di nalo cham yingji la di ani menju che di nalo lega di nalo ke chimbu khande cha de di kala nas.
Yes. Now, the compassion in healthcare. Healthcare, naturally, too much disturb our mind or emotion. Then physical level also, you see, such as blood pressure increasing and cannot sleep sort of sufficiently. So peace of mind is the key factor for healthy body. So because peace of mind, so every night, 9 hours, very sound sleep. So that's something important. One time in East India, when I visited there, one minister from Delhi, he also visited there. So within few days, we become very close friend. Then one morning, he asked me about my sleep, about my rest. Then I told him, no worry, I always get 9 hours very sound sleep. Then a few hours meditation. Through that way, peace of mind develop. So no matter what surrounding, no matter what problem, I can keep peace of mind. Through that way, my health also quite good. Then his response, he as a politician, he only 4-5 hours sleep. And then he really wish more sleep, like that. So I think sleep, even politicians or businessmen, women, I think everybody with this body, sleep very important. Sound sleep. For that, peace of mind really make differences. So with sufficient sleep, that automatically bring a physical condition become normal, like that. So now health, everybody take care one's own health. Now we should pay some attention. Health, physical health and mental peace, mental health, very close. So 1,000-year-old India's tradition, some meditation and meditate on karuna and ahimsa. So as I mentioned earlier, previous century, Mahatma Gandhiji really showed to the world non-violence. Now today, through education level, we should offer karuna and through meditation. So modern education and ancient Indian thought should combine. So now, some questions.
Thank you very much for your very inspiring message. I'll start the question answer session and then we'll take it to some of our panelists. Today, a very large number of patients, doctors are unable to show empathy when they're treating the patient because of the pressure of time. There's a very heavy load on every doctor, so they have to be very fast in how they serve the patients. So my question is, how does a medical practitioner demonstrate compassion while dealing with such a large patient load in these busy times? Doctor spends hardly a few minutes with a patient. In those few minutes, how can he communicate his compassion to the patient?
As I mentioned earlier, if we think deeper level, any professions, you see, due to their work, a little sort of anxiety, some disturbance mind. Now here, compassionate mind, really immense help. So including doctors, you see, they should consider their work is something very sacred work, holy work, helping a patient. So especially the field of health, the doctor, nurses, they should consider their work is almost spiritual service. Not like some business or some, other technology work. The doctors, nurses really taking care about the person's health and including peace of mind. So doctor, according to my own experience, when I met some doctor, maybe very expert, but without a smile, and sometimes I feel a little sort of, he might carry some experiment on my body. But doctor, when you see checking me with smile, with human feeling, then I feel full confidence. Now this doctor truly, you see, take care of me. So the doctors, you see, smiling and seriously, compassionate way, taking care about patient, it is something very important. The patient, of course, when mentally happy, peace, is very helpful to recover the physical illness also. Okay, thank you.
So, despite our best efforts, sometimes patients don't survive. Healthcare professionals have to deal with this every day. My question is, how does a healthcare professional extend compassion and loving kindness to comfort patients when they know clearly that they will not survive or they know their fate? How does doctor deal with this compassion fatigue and comfort the patients?
Certainly, the patient who now soon die, or they're surrounded with doctors, nurses, with compassionate sort of attitude, then that dying person also feel much happier, much peaceful. So then, according our tradition, Indian tradition, we believe life after life. So the mental state at the time of dying should be peaceful, too much anxiety. And with anxiety, some anger is very harmful. So therefore, the doctors, nurses who surrounded that patient who are dying, you see, should provide peace of mind through compassion, through karuna, very helpful. Our life starts with our mother's affection. That's karuna. So at the end of our life, also in the atmosphere of karuna, then you see it is much better. So 1,000-year-old India's tradition, karuna is just beginning of our life and end of our life, very important. And then all between there, all our profession or work, you see, should carry with compassion or karuna and ahimsa.
Sometimes we all face situations which create negative emotions in us. And these negative emotions stop us from thinking and behaving rationally and seeing situations in their true perspective. So my question is, how can one control negative emotions, and what can we do to minimize their influence on our actions?
Yes, attachment and sort of also the anger is part of our life, part of our mind. But at the same time, on a physical level, similarly, on a physical level, mental level also, some emotion is antidote of anger and attachment. So we should pay attention about karuna, ahimsa, more conviction on our intelligence level. Then automatically anger, attachment can reduce. So here, all those sort of attachment and anger, fear is part of the sentient being's emotion, including animal or birds. But then we have this unique brain, can analyze, can think. And particularly this country, over 1,000 years, you see, research work about ahimsa, about karuna. So now, as a human being, our brain should utilize and those emotions, such as anger and fear, how much damage. And antidote of that, karuna, patience. These is how much useful. So therefore, here, our human intelligence, you see, must utilize what kind of emotion is harmful, what kind of emotion is benefit. Through that way, we can, at least we can balance this destructive emotion and constructive emotion. And here, a number of ancient Indian masters, in their writing, especially Shantadeva's writing, one great scholar and practitioner. You see, in his book, how harmful anger, hatred, and how useful compassion and forgiveness, these things. So you see, thinking, reasoning, use our human brain and right direction, and really makes differences about our emotion. I also, my daily practice is thinking according to these Indian masters' book, very, very helpful, and consider as a secular way. Although these texts are Buddhist texts, but we should take these secular way and practice. Okay.
Thank you. The next question will be from Dr. D. Nageshwar Reddy, who's chairman of Asian Institute of Gastroenterology. He's a world-famous gastroenterologist and has many recognitions to his credit. Over to you, Dr. Nageshwar Reddy.
Thank you, Prasad. Your Holiness, there is so much diversity of faiths across the world. Followers of each faith are passionate about theirs, and this includes medical professionals. My question is, keeping our faiths and beliefs intact, how can we bring about unity through a universal message?
As I mentioned earlier, India is the example. So all world major religious traditions live together. And mutual respect, and sometimes mutual learning. That's one of India's tradition. Now you can see in India, all major world religious tradition here. Now, for example, among Muslim, Shia and Sunni, our neighbor, some problem. But I never heard among Indian Muslim, Shia and Sunni problem. I never heard. That's one example. So, the India, 1,000-year-old, according to Ahimsa and the Karuna. So, different religious tradition is personal matter, and meantime respect others' religion. So that's India's very, very wonderful, rich tradition. This now time come should show outside world. Different religious tradition is personal matter. All religion is carry message of Karuna. So we should live together and mutual respect. India, over a billion population, religious harmony already there. So wonderful. So therefore, India, since you see religious harmony already there, this is not a political reason, not some other reason, but traditionally we have, you see, this practice, this tradition. So must show outside the world. Now this moment, our next neighbor, Afghanistan, is sometimes some problem. And then also some Pakistanis. Actually, this is religious harmony. This India, the largest, second largest populated nation. Religious harmony, 1,000 years, already there. So now some other small nations, I think, should follow India's tradition of religious harmony. I also committed promotion of religious harmony. In philosophical field, there are differences. Even within Buddhism, like Saudantic, Chittamantra, and Madhyamika, and within these different school of thought, you see different views there. But we live together. When I met Buddhists from Sri Lanka, Buddhist monks and nuns from Sri Lanka, or Thailand, and Burma, you see, we all, you see, they follow of same Buddha. In philosophical field, there are differences. So that's personal matter. Basically, we all Buddhist. Similarly, other religious people. In philosophical field, differences. Some say there's God, some say no God. But that's personal matter. But all carry same message of karuna and message of ahimsa. So today, I think this world, there are some cases due to different religious tradition, some problem, then this such sort of situation, India's 1,000-year-old religious harmony should show other people. This inspired a lot of different problems. But as far as religious harmony is excellent. So we can show the world religious harmony. Okay.
Thank you.
The next question is from Dr. Mohan, who's chairman of Dr. Mohan's Diabetes Specialty Center and is also a world-famous diabetologist. Over to you, Dr. Mohan.
Thank you, Prasad, for the opportunity. Your Holiness, let me at the outset wish you a belated happy birthday. May your wish of living not only to 100, yesterday I was reading in the newspapers that 130 years is going to become a possibility. So my greetings to you to continue to inspire us for several more decades. We all know that, and you mentioned it, Your Holiness, that medicine and healing was earlier just a seva. It was just a noble profession. But the way the medicine is being organized now today, it's become more and more like a business. And you use the word business. Sometimes it's not avoidable, it's unavoidable, because corporations start hospitals. And so it becomes more and more like a business, which is a little unfortunate sometimes. So my question to you is, how, even in this modern era of practicing medicine, which is becoming quite costly, can doctors combine empathy and spirituality with a successful medical practice? Thank you, Your Holiness.
Actually, every human action, we should carry every human action combined with human affection. Now today, 7 billion human beings, we have to live together. So sense of also sense of oneness of human being, and I want happiness. The others also want happiness. So I do not want to bring some unhappiness to other. So then different human activities, I think including warfare, with some sense of compassion, is much less destructive. So therefore, every sort of human action carry with sincere karuna. Now, so with that motivation, then honest or truthful always come. So, and doctor as a sort of profession, then their work itself is something helping other people, some very relevant with genuine sort of sense of concern of the patient's or say being. So the doctor's profession is something very, very sort of also a close connection with sincere, compassionate motivation. Yes, like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Amira Shah. Amira comes from a family of medical practitioners. She's an entrepreneur and managing director of one of the leading diagnostic chains in India, Metropolis Healthcare. Over to you, Mr. Shah.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. And Your Holiness, thank you so much for being here with us today. Today we are seeing across the world, we are all being conditioned to accumulate. And we are being conditioned to take more, receive more love, receive more material things. My question for you is that as we progress and as we become more secure and we decide to give back to our communities and our societies, there is still a fear left in all of us about giving too much and not keeping enough for ourselves. How do we get over this fear and be able to give much more of everything that we have, our heart and our material things, and care less and get over this fear of not having enough ourselves?
I think every human action, no matter something positive or negative, must combine with human intelligence. So, say, positive action is to give some help other people through wealth or you see, must utilize human intelligence. So, given material thing, if say you see one person who always drink or too much and give more money, actually sort of suffering himself or herself. So better limited money. So similarly, and then people who too much sort of taking drug and give money, use too much drug and actually harmful. So when we helping some material to other, so we should utilize our intelligence and judge whether that help long run, really helpful that person or not. So every human action also is, although your action, karuna action, should sort of combine with human intelligence and analyze situation. Human being, sometimes you see too much sort of sophisticated. One way show also the honest and helping other. And one way in deep inside too much selfish and ready to sacrifice others' sort of well-being. So we must utilize human intelligence and analyze. Our compassion should be realistic compassion. Okay,
Our next question is from Professor Srinath Reddy. Professor Srinath Reddy is president of Public Health Foundation of India. He has many recognitions and he's been the president's personal physician, as well as been very active in public health throughout his life. Over to you, Professor Srinath Reddy.
Thank you. Your Holiness, may the grace of your long life bless the world with your vision and wisdom for many more years. Despite recognizing that common global threats call for a concerted global response, we are seeing narrow nationalism prevailing, whether it is in sharing COVID vaccines or in combating climate change. My question is, how can shared values of global solidarity emerge from awareness of shared vulnerability of the entire world?
Now, actually, existing our education, you see, much sort of was related with human intelligence, external things, and existing education, not much sort of emphasis about peace of mind. So, as I already briefly mentioned, in our education, you see, should include, you see, Karuna is something very important. Karuna not consider part of practice of Dharma. Simply, we human being, in order to remain peaceful human being, and now some scientists say we are social animal. So social animal, you see, always, you see, yours as the group is the basis of your own life. So take care, never harm, because your neighbor is the basis of your own happy life, successful life. So that's human nature. Now in reality, broadly speaking, over a billion human beings, we have to live side by side. Easterner, near future depend Westerner. West and similarly North and South. So 1 billion human being, their future life, their life, interdependency. So therefore, utilize intelligence, because accept that reality. So every human being, our brothers, sisters, and West peaceful, East also get benefit. Similarly, North and South. So judging from that, we really need sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Then, now current some, illness, these worldwide, so all nations and people have sort of common responsibility to tackle, this problem. So all this very much related with sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings, and we have to live together side by side. I think now my nation and my group, that narrow-minded thinking is outdated. Now economically, global level, so economy, just my nation's economy is now in order to think your own nation's economy, you have to think about a global economy. Similarly, the happy, pleasant community actually depend on rest of the human being. So you should think entire humanity as a member of one human family. So it is sort of outdated to think my nation, my people. No, we have to think humanity like that. And in this respect, India, I think already have the South Indian different culture, different language. So different state is in different language, and some a little sort of different also cultural heritage, but all live together as an Indian. So that sort of extent, whole world, we live together. We have to live sort of side by side, like that. Okay.
Thank you. Medical professionals do their best, try to do their best for the patients. With the best of motivations, sometimes mistakes can happen. And these mistakes can be quite devastating for a patient. So my question is, how does a medical professional deal with these kind of situations, and how do they cope when they realize they made a mistake? And how do they, deal with such a situation?
I think sometimes it's one human being's mind. In any way, one individual. So, such case, concerned doctor together and some discuss and how to deal that particular patient. Then, through discussions, you will find, you see, the right method. Just one individual, sometimes inspired sincere motivation, it is possible to make wrong decisions like that. So discussion, very important. Okay.
Thank you. So, Your Holiness, you say that compassion is not a sign of weakness, but a determination that demands action. Healthcare professionals are working relentlessly and often expose themselves and their families to high risks. So, my question is, what would be your message to help the healthcare workers to boost their determination to continue their duties in the face of adversity?
When people, you see, passing through hospital, we always feel, this take care us. So, not like a military compound when we're passing through, little sort of anxiety. When also the hospital, when we passing through, and we always feel happy. This sort of organization protect us, helping us, so always feel much happier. So, so the doctors and sort of also the nurses should feel proud. Their work is truly serving, practical serving, not just a prayer like that or lip service, but actually serving human being. So should feel proud. Thank you.
We have one last question from Dr. Nageshwar Reddy. before we conclude the session.
Thank you, Prasad. Your Holiness, many of our healthcare personnels have sacrificed their life to save others. It is the ultimate act of altruism and compassion in action. My question is, what is your message to the family and friends who are dealing with the death of their loved ones?
Yes, those doctors, nurses who helping a serious patient, due to that connection, and eventually the doctor, nurses themselves suffer. And then his or her family member should feel proud or think more wider way. Then also, if there is sort of opportunity to tell more people, our friend, doctor, nurses sacrifice their own life in order to help other people. Then people, when hear such things, really feel sort of also the admiration. And according to their belief, they certainly pray. When I heard some doctors who really helping other people, then finally doctor themselves suffer, I always pray. So that's really a source of admiration. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your Holiness, this has been such a powerful session. Your exposition of our universal values of ahimsa, karuna, and with reason, not just faith, being secular, all these are very powerful lessons to all of us. A mind committed to compassion is like an overflowing reservoir, a constant source of energy, determination, and kindness. So we all pledged to keep compassion at the epicenter of all our efforts and to provide the best care and cure to our patients. Your Holiness, we are extremely grateful and happy to hear your wisdom on the various occasions. We are also very proud that you call yourself a son of India. That is a matter of pride for us. Your presence is a blessing to all of us. We are all inspired by how you draw lessons from the wisdoms of our ancient masters from India. You talked about the Nalanda tradition and many such things which we tend to not give as much importance as we should. Thank you very much, and we consider you as a divine gift to India from Tibet. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that, we conclude this session.
That's all. Thank you. See you again.
Thank you.
Oh.